Good evening, everyone. That's better. Welcome, members. Welcome to the public present and anyone watching online on the Council's YouTube channel to this Council meeting of Cambridge City Council. As this meeting is being held at the Downing Place United Reformed Church, I would again like to thank the church for their hospitality and for accommodating us for the past few weeks, whilst the Council undertakes some of its most important functions. So first of all, we have some housekeeping notices. We are not expecting the fire alarm to go off. If it does, please leave everything and follow the exit signs through the double doors at the back of the hall to the muster point on Downing Place, which is the road itself down there. Members of the public watching may see councillors using laptops and phones during the meeting. This is because many of us now use our laptops and phones to read the agenda, information pack, and speeches, and it enables us to contribute to the meeting in an effective way. As a reminder to members, we have a 3-hour guillotine, so I encourage members to keep points succinct whilst we get through the business of the meeting. I hope to take a break at 7:30, depending on where we are in the agenda. Now we will have a few moments of reflection while Reverend Devin McLachlan will speak to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. As many of you know, today is American Thanksgiving Day. And so, as an American immigrant here to Cambridge, I thought I'd reflect very briefly on Thanksgiving. Our Archbishop-elect, Sarah Mullally, often quotes the words of Meister Eckhart, a medieval mystic who wrote, "If the only prayer you say in your whole life is thank you, that would suffice." So this evening, when we come together to take counsel, to learn with one another, build upon one another's ideas, faithfully disagree with one another, and seek what is best for our city, let us begin this meeting with thankfulness. Thankfulness for the rich diversity of Cambridge, for its many residents, for its deep history, for the aspirations and dreams which drive the city forward. Thankfulness for the invitation from the citizens of Cambridge that you may serve as members of council. Thankfulness for one another as colleagues, both in our agreements and our disagreements. Thankfulness for the mentors, teachers, friends, family members, and neighbors who have shaped us to be the people we are today. Thankfulness for the beauty of creation, for the trust we have been given as stewards of the natural as well as the civic environment. Thankfulness for the great blessings in our own lives, whatever those may be. All those things that make each of us unique and beloved. And thankfulness for all those small blessings, the ones we may not have noticed, the ones which we have received this day. May God's love and God's grace ever give us thankful hearts, that we might serve Him and all our neighbors with joy.
Thank you, Devin. Now we move on to agenda item 2, declarations of interest. Members, I'd like to ask you that you declare only interests that relate to items on the council agenda. And with this in mind, do any members have interest to declare? Councillor Lokmatova.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to declare interest in relation to item 9A. I won't be participating in the debate or voting because this item is related to my day job. I'm part of the design team on the Guildhall. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other declarations of interest? I remind you that you may declare them at any point during the agenda if they occur to you. I do beg your pardon, I've missed out agenda item 1, which is apologies for absence. We've had apologies from Councillor Houck and Councillor Martinelli. Do we have any other apologies? No? Could I also just remind you, you really do need to speak up in this hall. It's not quite like the council chamber. If you can speak up and get quite close to your mic, I think you'll find that everybody will be able to hear you. So we move on to item agenda 4, which is Mayor's announcement, because we don't have minutes, because the last council meeting was only last week, so the minutes will come with the next full council meeting. So Mayor's announcements. So we've had recent events of note include Remembrance Sunday and Armistice Day. They were very well attended by our residents, and I'd also like to thank councillors who joined me for these very, very special occasions. Thank you. There's also been a strong focus on young people in my recent events. I attended a student union event with reps from both Cambridge University and Anglia Ruskin University, and we discussed how we can help the students feel more welcome as residents, and also how to support their housing needs, particularly overseas students who often fall victim to rogue private landlords. It was a very productive evening. We've had 2 very joyous celebrations. The 150th anniversary of the Cambridge Corn Exchange. This was a result of collaboration over the last 6 months between the Council's Cultural Services team, working with 20 local schools, colleges, universities and community organisations. An absolutely terrific evening, so congratulations to that team. Also, I attended the Future Champions event sponsored by the Sir Arthur Marshall Foundation and the City Council Active Lifestyles team, and that celebrated young people's sporting achievements. Recently, I've also attended the opening of Every Space at Cambridge Central Library, which took place last Friday, 21st of November. I do urge you to visit it. It's a new, accessible facility, and it hosts workshops and events, also providing hands-on access to new and exciting technologies, such as visiting editing and video editing, and recording equipment, provided with the aid of a grant from the Department of Culture, Media and Sport, and also S106 funding. Yesterday saw the blue plaque unveiling for Cambridge philosopher Bertrand Russell in Trinity College. Very interesting gentleman, and that will soon be erected in Cambridge to his honour. Just to advise you of upcoming events, tomorrow I've been invited for a tour of Cambridge Crown Court by His Honour Judge Mark Bishop, Honorary Recorder of Cambridge. And on Tuesday, the 2nd of December, is the formal reopening of the Cambridge Arts Theatre, following its extensive refurbishment. This will be marked by the opening performance of this year's not-to-be-missed pantomime, Sleeping Beauty. I do hope you'll be able to get to it. Lastly, I'd like to wish our American friends a happy Thanksgiving Day. Last week, Officer Mel cleaned up and made safe the gavel that sits in the Mayor's parlour, and we discovered that it has a very special engraving on it. Now, the Washington elm was a tree on Cambridge Common in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and it lived approximately 200 years, and it died in 1923. And the legend has it that under this tree, George Washington first took command of the American Army in 1775 in the fight for independence against the British. And the tree became a symbol of liberty. When it was felled, pieces were sent to many places to be used for that city and its connections. And on this gavel, when Mel cleaned it up for us, it says, presented to the Mayor of the City of Cambridge in 1961 from the Honourable Edward Crane, Mayor of Cambridge, Massachusetts, crafted from the original Washington elm. So, happy Thanksgiving. Do come and have a look at it when we have a break. It's quite exciting. Yeah. Now, we move on now to agenda item 5, which is public questions. So just to remind everyone, public speaking rules provide that members of the public must send in the text of their public question in advance of the meeting. The text of the question will no longer be read out, as it will be published in advance of the meeting. And they're available on the information pack on page 5 and also shared on screen. Members of the public can introduce themselves, please, and advise if they are speaking on behalf of a group. Public question time lasts for a maximum of 30 minutes. The Cabinet Member or Chair of the Committee will have 2 minutes to respond. Members of the public then have 1 minute to ask a supplementary question or to comment on something that has been said if they would like to, and then the Chair or the Cabinet Member has 2 minutes to respond. A bell will be rung when you have 30 seconds left, and then again at the end of your allowed time slot. So, question 1. Elizabeth Simpson, would you like to take the mic? Elizabeth is not here. So, if the Cabinet Member would respond to the question. Richard.
Thank you, Mayor.
Is that you, Councillor Smart?
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you. If you'd like to respond.
So thank you for your question about toilets, Elizabeth, and the Council's ongoing commitment to investment in them. I can confirm there are not any plans to open toilets that have been closed in the past. The exception to this is at Silver Street, where we are currently building a brand new facility. I'm glad you asked about our renovation work in existing toilets. We've invested in half a dozen toilets across the city. They're located at Cherry Hinton Hall, Cheston Recreation Ground, Coleridge Recreation Ground, Drummer Street, Nightingale Recreation Ground Pavilion, and Silver Street, as I mentioned earlier. So altogether, this programme of works totals over £2 million invested in toilets across the city. All in all, we currently have 10 toilets, and when Silver Street is complete, that will rise to 11. I might add that all of our toilet provision is free. And in that provision, we now have 5 changing places toilets, of which we should be rightly proud. But we're still looking to improve our provision further where budgets allow. For example, we are currently reviewing the toilet provision at Jesus Green. This work is ongoing, and any proposals will be considered carefully as part of future capital planning. Also, we have recently had costs for a full update, conversion and improvement of the shop mobility toilet at the Grand Arcade, so it will be a fully changing places compliant facility. We completely recognise the importance of accessible, well-maintained public toilets, and we will continue to focus resources on maintaining and improving the facilities for our residents and visitors alike. The priority is to ensure high-quality, well-used toilets, open and accessible in places where they're most needed, aligning with public feedback and in accordance with responsible budget management.
Thank you, Councillor Smart, and there's no supplementary as Elizabeth isn't here. So we move on to question 2, please, and that's from Fiona Todd.
Hello, I'm Fiona Todd. I am an Arbury resident and local councillor.
Thank you, Fiona, and an answer to your question is from Councillor Bird, please.
Lovely, thank you for your question. For Arbury Court and Kingsway, the Council is balancing several trade-offs with its proposed design. These are increasing the number of council homes, providing certainty for our residents and traders, making sure there is a better park for residents, keeping the shops open throughout and making a better shopping centre, building a new library and keeping the community facilities, trying to get the best value. We have therefore presented an early plan for each site so that we can get feedback from all the residents, including tenants, leaseholders, freeholders, the community groups and traders, our planners and from other local stakeholders. We already know that residents want a park at Arbury Court. That includes all the facilities offered by the current park. Virtually everyone has told us that they don't want cycle lanes crossing the park. Others have told us that they want to be able to go to the shops throughout the building programme. These and other points all help the project team and will help shape the design. I encourage you to share any feedback so that it will be included in the consultation results.
Thank you, Councillor Bird. Fiona, do you have a supplementary question?
Thank you. In the original consultation on North Cambridge, hundreds of respondees, car users, cyclists, pedestrians, noted that local roads are overused, unsafe, and literally cracking under the pressure. Yet the plans drawn up by the council will add an additional 180 dwellings on Arbury Road, plus potentially hundreds more on the other side of the road in the coming years. So despite our feedback, Arbury residents like myself are now presented with a plan that pushes yet more traffic onto Arbury Road, builds over our ever-shrinking designated open space, already the lowest in Cambridge, and sets a precedent for cramming taller and taller buildings into North Cambridge, while other areas of the city do not face the same treatment. So does the council agree that there's a significant risk that the community will stop engaging on consultations if they do not respond to our concerns? And going forward, how will you ensure there's a proper dialogue with the community that addresses the critical infrastructure challenges of these plans?
Thank you. Councillor Bird, you have 2 minutes to respond, please.
Thank you for that. Well, first of all, to do with the cars, not a lot I can do about the cars, I'm afraid. That's part of the county side of it as well, with the roads. But we haven't decided on how tall we're going to go. Nothing's been decided at all. And we won't decide anything until the consultation has been done. So you residents are very important to us. That's why we ask you to fill in the consultations. There's another consultation going on now, and then we'll be having meetings, liaison forum meetings for residents, the tenants, everybody who's involved in the Arbury and Kingsway area, which is important. And please contact us if you've got any worries at any time. Like I say, we haven't decided anything yet. There's no design or nothing. We just want you residents informed of everything that we're looking at. And it's your voices that we want to hear. Nobody else's. It's you as the residents. I hope that helps.
Thank you, Councillor Bird. And thank you, Fiona, for your question. We move on to question 3 now, and it's Susie Williams, please.
Hi, Susie Williams from Cambridge Recycling Watch.
Thank you. And I'll ask Councillor Moore, please, as Cabinet Minister, member, to respond, please.
Thank you very much for your question and your excellent scrutiny of our waste and recycling service. I can't remember, is it close or far we need to be? Okay. I'm very glad that you would welcome Regen using HVO fuel for all of their vehicles collecting our recycling, because that's exactly what's happening. The reference that you've quoted in your question refers to a trial carried out by Regen on HVO usage in their vehicles in November 2024. Due to the success of that trial and the fact that HVO, hydrogenated vegetable oil, can be universally used by all Regen vehicles with no requirement for any modifications, Regen are now using HVO across all of their fleet to replace diesel fuel in line with their commitment to deliver a reduction in carbon emissions from the transportation of materials. Regen have confirmed with the team that they do not use biodiesel in the vehicles that collect our recycling. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. Susie, do you have a supplementary question? You have 1 minute.
Thank you. At the City Council meeting on 24th of July, you stated wrongly the procurement process was based on the MRF in Newry, and it was on that site that Regen won the contract. The plans for a UK mainland site were only known after the contract was signed, and so there's not been a failure, as has been suggested. Regen signed the contract on 10th of April this year. Cambridge City Council signed it on 2nd of June. But plans for MRF in England were known about long before that. It was almost promised in a letter from Regen on 29th of January. The plans were mentioned frequently in council and in both local papers, on 15th of January in the Cambridge Independent, in a City Council press release in February, in the Environment and Scrutiny Committee in March. Anyone who was interested knew about the plans for an English MRF. Why did you say in this chamber the plans for a UK mainland site were only known after the contract was signed?
Thank you. Would you like to respond, please, Councillor Moore? You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. I think as you quoted initially, what I said was the MRF contract was signed and agreed based on sending the recycling to Newry in Northern Ireland, and that is exactly what happened. I could probably check my emails now, but I'd need longer than the minute that I've got. So I will have to get back to you on the dates, but even if the final signature of that Greater Cambridge Shared Waste Service contract, which is 2 councils, the plans to go with Newry and Regen were in fact worked on from the August before. Does Robert remember? Anyway, it was months before. It takes a very long time to agree these contracts. In fact, it was before August because our contract with Waterbeach ran out in August. So we were working on the Newry plan, the Regen plan, long before that. And then what delayed it a bit further was because when we were taking the recycling straight to Waterbeach, each lorry could just empty the load straight there, whereas now we need what's called a transfer station where all of the lorries can dump the load and then the Regen vehicles can be packed up. And that delay of around, I think, 6 months is then when the contract was finalised. So the decision was made based on sending the recycling to Newry. It was Regen that won the public sector procurement because they were offering the best service, and I will get back to you on those exact dates. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Moore. Now we move on to question 4, and this is from Jocelyn Scutt, please.
Thank you. Yes, Jocelyn Scutt, Cambridge resident, and most specifically Cambridge resident of the North. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bird, would you like to respond to the question, please?
Thank you for your question. Taking each point in turn. Number 1, plans. As I stated in my answer to question 2, we want feedback on the current proposals, and I encourage residents to feedback. They have until December the 16th to make their own views known. Point 2, play and park area. I can confirm the council is committed to creating an enhanced park that will include improved secure play area for toddlers and young children, improved play equipment for older children, co-design with residents on the equipment and other park furniture, the removal of cycle paths indicated as crossing the new park, reprovision of the same amount and more protected open space than the current park. You're absolutely right about the planning policy. Any reprovision of the open spaces must be enhanced, and as I said in question 4, the council is committed to this, including a play area for toddlers, a play area for older children, and the removal of the cycle paths across the park. The design shown is indicative, and with the feedback we receive, they will be updated. As I stated in my answer to question 2 and 4, we want feedback on the current proposals, and I encourage residents to give feedback. They have until the 16th of December to make their views known. Alternative plans. In question 2, I mentioned the trade-offs the council is balancing. A park at the centre of the new Arbury Court is more likely to be used than less antisocial behaviour and has the support of planners in the discussion that have taken place. Not moving the park may mean less council housing, or if you support council housing, not building on the park may mean taller buildings.
Thank you, Councillor
What we're
Burt.
trying to do is provide a balanced design that residents and planners will support. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bird. Jocelyn, do you have a supplementary question, please? You have 1 minute.
Yes, I do. Thank you. Just on my point one, I did want it confirmed that the design is not set in concrete and that there can be a consideration of alterations to the design itself. But my supplementary question is, residents are clearly wishing to have involvement in the project. So you've partly answered this question earlier, but I would like it confirmed that a local liaison forum for the Arbury Court, Kingsway and Brackley Court proposals that a local liaison forum will be established to facilitate further and ongoing engagement with local residents, and that community groups will also be involved. It would be similar to the local liaison forum that was established for the Eakin Road, so that residents will be involved in the project, in the development, all the way from go to woe. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bird, would you like to respond? You have 2 minutes.
Okay, I'll start with the liaison forum meetings. Every tenant, resident, community group, traders, everybody will have meetings regular. I'm starting doing bi-monthly meetings with traders, and then I'll be doing the same with the residents, freeholders, everybody, just so they're kept up to date, so there's no misinformation which has been going round. And this is very important. So I'll say it again, we will be having meetings with the residents regular. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bird. Thank you for your question. Now we move on to question 5. And it's Sapphira, please, if you'd like to ask your question and introduce yourself.
Yes, hi, I'm Sapphira Davison. I'm a North Cambridge resident as well, and here I'm in capacity representing the Save Arbury Court Play Park group, which has at present count about 3 dozen members.
Thank you very much. And Councillor Bird, if you would like to respond, please, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you for your question. Taking each point in turn. Number 1, open spaces. You're obviously right about planning policy, and any provisions for open space must be enhanced. And as I said in question 4, the council is committed to this, including a play area for toddlers, play area for older children, and the removal of the cycle paths across the park. The design shown are indicative, and with feedback we receive, they will be updated. As I stated in answers to questions 2 and 4, we want feedback on the current proposal, and I encourage residents to give feedback. They have until the 16th of December to make their views known. Alternative plans. In question 2, I mentioned the trade-offs the council is balancing. A park at the centre of the new Arbury Court is more likely to be used, have less antisocial behaviour, and have the support of planners in the discussion they have taken place. Not moving the park may mean losing council housing, or if you support council housing, not building on the park may mean taller buildings. What we're trying to provide is a balanced design that residents and planners will support. We're looking at the feedback and update on the designs. Like I say again, we have not made any decision and there's no proper designs yet. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bird. Sapphira, would you like to ask a supplementary question? You have a minute. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I have a supplementary question broadly in two parts. First, is it intentional that the answer to my question was word for word copied from the answer to question 4? In particular, the latter half of question 4, because I'm going to be honest, I don't feel hugely listened to when the exact same words are used for more than one of us, but I'll put that to one side. More importantly, the rubric being used for the specific choice of putting the park at the centre, a reduction in antisocial behaviour and an increase in usage. The current park is very widely used by a number of different groups, and the antisocial behaviour that I'm sure you're citing is directly data from the consultation, which was not talking about the current park, but a different area of the development. So besides the reasons you've given for moving the park, which don't seem to be rooted in the evidence that I hope you and I are both reading the same version of, what reason is there to move the park there if you are obliged by statute to provide the exact same area of green space afterwards?
Thank you, Safira. Councillor Bird, would you like to respond? You have 2 minutes.
Thank you for that. First of all, every single question I've received tonight have been exactly the same. The same issue about the park, the design, what we're going to do about, are we going to get rid of the cycle paths going through the park? So I've repeated everything so everybody's got exactly the same answer because exactly what we're doing. About the design of the park, like I said before, we're not sure yet what the design is. Until we've got all the consultations done and got all the information back, we can then feed back to the residents who live in that area, and then we can start looking at the proper designs. And then you'll be invited to meetings to come and look at the designs. There may be even a choice of 2, we don't know yet, until we've got all the designs in front of us. I hope that helps. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bird. And now we move on to question 5, and that's a question from Anthony Carpin, please. Oh, 6, beg your pardon.
Anthony Carpin, local resident. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anthony. And now I'd like Councillor Thornborough, please, to respond.
Anthony, thank you for your question. Like you, we welcome the fact that the inspector upheld the decision of the planning committee, and we are hopeful that Hobson Street Cinema will find a suitable future use. The building is privately owned, and any decision on that are therefore a matter for them and not the council. But I can tell you that we have been contacted by the owner, and we hope to explore a range of ideas. We did discuss options for community as part of the process considering the previous application, but until the council and owner have met, we can't comment on any further on future possibilities. Of course, this council is keen to secure a positive and sustainable future for the site that benefits the city centre and the wider community.
Thank you very much, Councillor Thornborough. Anthony, do you have a supplementary? Thank you. You have a minute.
So I've been following this, I don't know what you want to call it, this case for about 10 years. I've got a video on my YouTube channel of me asking Councillor Bick a question about this from 2016. I was particularly disappointed with the planning inspector's report in actually not raising some of the issues in the evidence that I submitted, but going forward, I think this building is an acid test for those who are backing the Cambridge Pledge and who are making a lot of publicity about what they're doing to deal with inequalities in our city. And my, I guess, plea to the councillors is, can they start leaning on the wealthy in our city to try and get that building back into community use like it was before and have it properly restored and not comprehensively redeveloped in the way that the planning inspector zapped. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Thornborough, if you'd like to respond, you've got 2 minutes.
Yes, over the last 10 years, it's been really sad seeing the complete lack of maintenance and the way the building has been allowed to dilapidate to the condition it is in now. I think your suggestions about the the Cambridge Pledge is something that might be able to be looked into, but as far as my remit with the planning authority is concerned, I'm afraid we can't do anything. But the councillors here have heard your message, I'm sure, and we'll see what happens. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councillor Thornborough. So we now turn to oral questions, and you can find those on page 9 of your information pack. Councillor's question will be taken as read as they're printed, and so you do not need to repeat the question in the first instance. So we now have a maximum of 5 oral questions, and each of these will be answered before we move on to the next item of business. The Cabinet member, chair or nominee will have up to 2 minutes to reply. The questioner will then have 1 minute to put a supplementary question or to seek clarification of the response to the original question. The Cabinet member, chair or nominee will have a further 2 minutes to reply to the supplementary question. A bell will be rung when you have 30 seconds left, and again at the end of your allotted time slot. So now we move to question number 1 from Councillor Tong. Councillor Anna Smith, would you like to respond, please?
Thank you. I'll stand up so Councillor Tong can actually see me. Does this pick up okay if I stand? Okay, thank you.
I can hear you, but I don't know if everybody else, yes, I think we're fine then.
Brilliant. Madam Mayor, please do bear with me if I'm a little slower off the mark. I'm still getting over quite a nasty virus, and so my brain isn't quite functioning at speed. But thank you for your question, Councillor Tong. We all understand that politics is a thing, but I think our residents must be so frustrated when concerns they raise are played out in the local paper or in a leaflet headline, especially by politicians who have previously shown very little interest in getting to know the residents of a ward on their issues. The Council supports and works closely with community groups across the city to promote food justice. This includes providing advice and assistance to make, case in point, let me come back. This includes providing advice and assistance to make sure all relevant standards are met, including food safety requirements, which, as you point out, Cambridge Community Kitchen complies with. We provide grant funding and support to a number of groups seeking to address food poverty, and this includes grant funding to the Food Justice Alliance, which brings together food charities and community food projects across Cambridge to strengthen coordination and support. And the Community Kitchen plays a valuable role in Cambridge City's food justice work. For example, they're one of very few organisations providing hot meals, including on Christmas Day, without gatekeeping. I understand they're currently serving 750 meals a week, mainly for collection or delivery, but some eating in as well. Over the last 5 years, various council teams have made many offers to engage with the Community Kitchen to understand their needs and to offer support, and that offer is always open. The council has also been working closely with local market ward councillors and local residents to seek to address any wider issues in the area. Our aim has consistently been to assist the Community Kitchen in continuing safe and valued work in our community, whilst also addressing wider issues linked to the building itself.
Thank you very much, Councillor Smith. Councillor Tong, do you have a supplementary question?
Not really a question, but I'll make a quick statement in response. Firstly, I'll flag I have in the past volunteered with CCK. I think they're an amazing group. They do so much for the community, and I really appreciate their work being acknowledged here. That is really, really important because they do so much good work. I think I was, like yourself, very disappointed by the way CCK were criticising the press by Paul Bristow, a man who, while MP, oversaw the cost of living crisis really grow to the scale it is now. I'm going to get called up on the time. I will just say, I think, unfortunately, Paul Bristow has now had to face the consequences of his own actions. The fact that we now have to see groups like this really pick up the slack for the terrors of a decade of austerity. So, great to hear that we're supporting them, and I will leave it there.
Thanks very much, Councillor Tong. Councillor Smith, did you want to reply?
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Tong, and it's good to see that we're in agreement on challenging food poverty, working together towards food justice, and really trying to address that cost of living crisis. I think one of the things that we are currently looking at, slightly different aspect in our relations with the Mayor, but nonetheless something that I think is equally important, is on the Tiger Pass. Those £1 bus fares for the under 25s, which makes such an inroad, particularly for those who are not in education, employment or training. It's so important that we are able, as a city and as a wider area, to really make sure we are doing everything we can to address the cost of living crisis. So thank you for your question.
Thank you very much, Councillor Smith. So we move to our second oral question, and that's from Councillor Young. And could... It says, I'm not sure if it's Councillor Davey or Councillor Todd Jones. It says Mike. Councillor Todd Jones, thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Councillor Young, for your question. The new public safety team bring together the former public realm team and the community safety team. So this integration, I think, has strengthened the team. It's more coherent, it's more resilient, and has ensured that both reactive and proactive work continue to be delivered to a high standard. The new team structure provides additional capacity and a broad range of skills, supporting proactive activities throughout the week. Within the team, 5 staff members provide regular patrolling of open spaces in neighbourhoods, identifying and resolving issues such as dog control concerns, encampments, fly tipping and littering, and so forth. These proactive patrols take place across the city every weekday. The wider team work on a case-by-case basis with specific activity related to hotspots. Creation of our integrated team has increased our proactive work in areas such as supporting the street life community as well, and responding to illegal encampments. The officers are now able to cover a wider set of enforcement functions throughout the working week, and all this is being reviewed. Reactive work continues in line with established service standards. Over the last 6 months, the team has investigated 390 cases, with significant time taken to manage abandoned vehicles and fly tipping in particular. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Todd Jones. Councillor Young, would you like to ask a supplementary?
Yes, I would, Madam Mayor.
Huh?
Thank you. So basically, thank you very much for that answer. What happens at weekends? And also, could you give an idea of the balance between the reactive and proactive patrols that are going on? I mean, what I'm trying to understand is, how are issues picked up? Does it require a member of the public to notice them, or is the team going to be wandering around and picking them up by themselves? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Young. And Councillor Todd Jones, if you'd like to respond, please. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Young. As mentioned, the current operational arrangements are being reviewed, and that includes looking to do some weekend working as well as the weekday work that currently goes on. The standard reactive responses are all being met. What we're looking to do is more proactive work. So I'm quite encouraged that the way the teams have been brought together is enabling this to happen. But happy to bring a further report once the review has happened in terms of operational working, including weekends as well as weekdays. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Todd Jones. And now we move on to question 3, which is a question from Councillor Payne. And Councillor Bird, if you would like to respond, please.
Thank you for your question. Cambridge City Council has a strong record of keeping its homes safe, decent and well maintained. We remain 99.5% compliant with the Decent Home Standard, which is significantly above the national average. Our council homes are assessed through our maintenance and energy efficient programmes, and urgent safety issues are always acted on immediately. The council has no knowledge of the condition of half its housing stock, does not reflect our actual position. We hold detailed information about property condition drawn from a wide range of sources, including gas, electric and inspections, wide range of sources, including repair records, tenancy audits, estate-wide surveys and energy performance certificates. This layered data gives us a clear visibility of how issues and emerging risks. It has already provided effective in identifying and addressing damp, mould and repair concerns. Our approach was recently tested by the regulator of social housing, who found Cambridge City Council to be compliant. To strengthen our insight, we are currently going out to market for a full stock condition survey for every council home. This will supplement the substantial intelligence we already hold. Over the past year, we have operated with specialist damp and mould team, ensuring when a tenant reports a case is actively managed. In parallel, we've been preparing for the introduction of Abwur's Law by refining and strengthening our internal process and increasing our staff numbers so that we are aligned with the new legal requirements and working to timescale. Since Abwur's law came into effect, we have received just over 75 damp, condensation and mould reports, representing a measured increase in our usual levels.
Councillor Bird, you're over time.
Right, okay.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Councillor Payne, would you like to ask a supplementary question?
Thank you, Madam Mayor Wood, and thank you to the Deputy Councillor for her answer. I disagree actually with a huge amount of what's been said there regarding the good condition of our council homes. There are extensive reports across the summer, some of which hit the local press from BBC Look East, where you saw, and the journalist had actually been to visit the house of a resident in Queen Edith's, where the levels of damp and mould to be seen there were absolutely shocking, and it's something which no resident, particularly not our most vulnerable people, should have to live in. So I disagree that we're doing all we can, and I disagree that our council housing is in a good state of condition. My question is, what have we done following the summer to respond to these concerns? It's interesting that the number of mould and compensation reports are increasing. So my question is whether the Executive Councillor can tell us what actions they'll be taking over the next month to ensure those levels of damp and mould are being addressed in a timely manner for residents.
Thank you, Councillor Payne. Councillor Bird, if you'd like to respond, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, going back to what you said about the resident on the TV, we did a full investigation about that case, and it worked out that the lady actually hadn't reported any of the repairs until the last repair. Then she decided she would report it to the council. We did a full investigation on that one. As for the repairs the damp and mould, we're doing our utmost to get this done. Like I said, we've only just received 75 damp, condensation, mould reports recently, and that is because it's now in the press. And as you know yourself, when things happen in the press, tenants decide they want to report it. So we are working very hard, and I can't thank our staff enough for all the hard work they're doing to make sure that every house is safe, warm for our tenants. I hope that explains everything.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bird. Now we move on to question 4, which is a question from Councillor Porrer. And Councillor Smart, if you would like to respond, please.
Thank you for your question about toilets, Councillor Porrer. So I can confirm that the Council aims to have high-quality toilets across the city, including down by the river at Jesus Green. As I said when you asked about toilets last month, the Council has recently spent over £2 million on new and improved toilets across the city, all free to use. All in all, we currently have 10 toilets, and when Silver Street is complete, that will rise to 11. In that provision, we now have 5 changing places toilets. I've also said I was looking forward to plans for improved toilets at Jesus Green, and this would be further investment in addition to the over £2 million already invested. To this end, work is underway to look into options, and those include accessibility, sustainability and operational upgrades. This work is at an early feasibility and scoping stage, supported by the condition surveys completed earlier this year. Once feasibility work is complete, we will bring forward plans through the Council's normal decision-making and budget-setting processes. We will continue to keep all concerned updated as the work progresses. Yeah, that's it. Lost my place, sorry.
Thank you very much, Councillor Smart. Councillor Porrer, do you have a supplementary question, please?
Yes, thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Smart. And it is good to hear that the Council does have some plans to improve the toilet facilities around Jesus Green and around the Lido. However, even with the most positive timescales, these won't be happening for a long time. I mean, you mentioned bringing it forward to the budget, and I really hope that's coming in the budget this year rather than in the future. But we're currently faced with really substandard toilets in this area. They're ageing, they're not particularly nice to use, as I'm sure those of us who've used them will know. And they're really needed because we've closed the ones on Midsummer Common, or you have, Chesterton Road, Park Street Car Park and Quayside. I would also urge Councillor Smart to include ward councillors and key stakeholders like the really active Jesus Green Association, who are really keen to help with this, as well as the Friends of the Lido, who I know are really interested in what's happening, both in terms of the design of any future toilets and also things like fundraising, which I'm sure we're all happy to get engaged with. So I hope that he will commit to including stakeholders and ward councillors in future plans. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Porrer. And Councillor Smart, if you'd like to respond, you have 2 minutes.
Yeah, thanks. So thanks for the follow-up question, Councillor Porrer. I agree with you that time is of the essence. We need to get on with the job, and I certainly intend to do that. Re your comments about closing toilets. As I said before, we closed toilets so that we could make budget savings. That was necessary to balance the books in the council. We're not willing to run a council that is in deficit. We need to run a tight ship. That's it. And those toilets weren't very well used. So just in terms of the other things, yes, we'd want to include all stakeholders in that. And in fact, as you know, as I said earlier, you're welcome to come down next week. We're having a sort of informal walkabout with a couple of officers and myself and Councillor Todd Jones to have a look at the site, which is in addition to some other informal discussions we've had about the site. So it's not at the stage yet to make any strong plans, exactly, but we would welcome your input, and of course all stakeholders will be involved in the process.
Thank you very much, Councillor Smart. Now we move to question 5, which is from Councillor Bagent and Councillor Holloway. If you'd like to respond, please, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bagent, for your question. As you'll know, officers hold a lot of small meetings with residents on all sorts of different topics, and your question refers to one particular one that was held recently. The nature of these meetings is that they're there to provide an opportunity to hear from residents generally, and you'll have been involved in a lot of those yourself. And so what wouldn't be practical is if we invited 42 councillors to each one of these resident meetings that we hold. So in this particular case that you're mentioning, we had a small number of residents, we had some officers, and we had cabinet members, and we had ward councillors. So that felt like an appropriate group of people to listen to residents in that particular case. If we had invited all councillors from across the city, I don't think it would have given residents the appropriate opportunity to have their voices heard in that meeting. I know that you are very interested in the North Cambridge proposals, which is good, and there are a lot of public meetings going on at the moment as part of the ongoing consultation, which I know you've attended some of those, and you're very welcome to attend those to hear from residents. And there are also some sessions for councillors. There was a recent briefing for councillors. So there are opportunities for you to have your voice heard, and there are opportunities for you to hear from residents.
Thank you very much, Councillor Holloway. Councillor Bagent, do you have a supplementary question?
I do, Chair.
You have 1 minute.
Okay. It's all very well to say that. This is a city-wide project. It's an £80 million project on which councillors have voted on. when residents meet with officers and the Labour Party councillors only, who is representing an oppositional voice? It's not fair. I know from talking to the residents that they have to hold back, or they feel that they have to hold back on what they say when they talk to councillors and officers. They are a little bit in fear. They're in awe, they're respect, but they're concerned about that. I've noticed from the way some of the people have asked questions tonight and got not exactly complete answers, that the way they've carried on smiling when I might well have got quite angry. I think that there should be room in these meetings, not for 46 councillors, of course not, but there should be room for people that might not agree with the party line. I think it's not transparent, it's not fair, you're not allowing a representation into that room. I'm a sole councillor and belong to one single group at this moment.
Thank you, Councillor. You have had your minute, so I'll ask Councillor Holloway to respond, please.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bajan. There are plenty of opportunities for you to hear from residents on this topic and also for you to put across your own views. In that particular meeting, Councillor DL was there. He is a Liberal Democrat councillor, so that was based on the fact that he is a West Chesterton councillor. Arbury councillors were also there, so this was not about Labour, this was about who are the local ward councillors as well as the relevant cabinet members. Equally, for issues that are relating to Romsey, then you of course are invited to take part in those meetings. If there are particular concerns that you have about these North Cambridge proposals, please do come to us and raise them with us. Thank you.
Those aren't the only people living in fear in Cambridge. All across this city, there are people afraid to leave their homes, afraid to leave their cars parked in the street, afraid of a knock at the door from a bailiff who's come to rifle through their possessions looking for valuables to be seized in order to compensate this council for tax arrears. It's a
Thank you. Do please be seated, and I hope you all enjoyed the excellent refreshments, and thank you very much for those. So, items 7 and 8, recommendations of the Cabinet and committees, there are none. So we are moving on now to item 9, which are motions. A motion needs to be proposed and seconded before any speeches can be made. If there is no seconder, the motion will fall, and we move to the next item. I will therefore ask for the mover and seconder to indicate this. On the motions for debate, the mover has 5 minutes to propose the motion. The seconder has 3 minutes to second the motion. The mover of an amendment and the seconder of an amendment have 3 minutes each. All other speakers on the motion have 3 minutes, and a bell will be rung when you have 30 seconds left, and again at the end of your allotted time slot. So now we move on to item 9A. This is a motion on notice from Councillor Ashton. Councillor Ashton, can you indicate if you wish to move this motion?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. And Councillor Thornborough, I understand you're seconding it.
That's right.
Yeah. And Councillor Ashton, you can address the councillor for 5 minutes, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think this is probably one of the shortest motions in the council history, and one I'm very proud of. I'm surprised the amendment has been put forward, because I think we're all in agreement about our democracy and what our residents feel. The reorganisation, which we didn't ask for, is being imposed on us, but we are being asked what we believe. Last week we had a council meeting to discuss the unitary and what we would recommend. So this motion gives our chief executive and officers the necessary, in a sense, ammunition to go back to the powers that be to say we recognise this council's wishes that this Guildhall remains as the home of democracy. So that's all I'm going to say at this moment in time, and I'll leave it over to people to debate.
Thank you very much, Councillor Ashton. Councillor Thornborough, do you wish to speak now or reserve your right?
I'll reserve my right, thanks.
Thank you. So Councillor Tong has given notice of an amendment which is on page 11 of the information pack. Councillor Tong, can you signify that you wish to move the amendment?
I do.
Thank you. And Councillor Clough, I understand you are seconding. Can you confirm this, please?
I wish to second. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Tong, you have 3 minutes to move the amendment.
Hello. So, I think the intent of this motion is really nice, and I would also love it if Cambridge remains the centre of local democracy for any future council comprising Cambridge. But the problem is, the Guildhall is not the home of local democracy because of some sort of inherent property. It's because the authority is based out of it. And unfortunately, because of the unitarisation project, it looks like it will lose that status potentially, or at least we will have no control over that. I feel that we can't make bold claims like the Guildhall shall continue to hold its rightful status as the principal venue for local democracy, because that decision is being given away to a future council comprising Cambridge. So I feel this motion is kind of silly. It doesn't hold true. This motion is completely vapid because, well, we can't make this promise. It's not our promise to make. This amendment, quite simply, tries to propose something at least substantive to try and actually make sure the Guildhall could play some role in a future local authority that comprises Cambridge. And I think that's really important. We can't just make superficial statements. We have to actually suggest some action that could achieve this goal. And I think that's what our amendment achieves. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tong. Councillor Clough, would you like to second the motion, the amendment, I beg your pardon, now, or would you like to reserve your right? Thank you.
Reserve my right, thank you.
So, councillors, is there any debate? Councillor Davey, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. I was intrigued by Councillor Tong's opening remarks that the Guildhall is not the home of local democracy, which is an intriguing statement, bearing in mind, according to my notes, I could be wrong, that it was first used as a centre for local democracy in 1224. So that's only 801 years. It's been the toll booth, I think, which was probably the most formal process from 1270, and has been used as a centre for local democracy ever since. That's the first thing to say. Secondly, why this is important is making a clear statement about we as a council, what we believe in. It shames me to say that the county council decided in their wisdom to move from Cambridge to Alconbury in probably about 5 or 6 years ago, I think, now when the move actually went through, and it's been a complete disaster. Not least because, of course, whatever unitary authority comes into power around Cambridge in the future, it won't be based in Alconbury. The second reason why it's a foolish mistake was when the King was proclaimed 3 years ago, when Councillor Ashton was the mayor, County Council had to come back to ask that the actual proclamation would take place at the Guildhall, even though they were the organisation responsible for making the proclamation, which again demonstrates the vital necessary need for it to be in Cambridge. This is a statement, making a clear statement about what is the right thing to do. We have to be clear about our red lines in our discussions with both South Cambs, the county, and I hope not East Cambs, but that might still happen, as about what we want to happen. And the leader, Councillor Holloway, has to have that power and authority to take those discussions forward. The Guildhall is the obvious place in Cambridge. Cambridge should be the centre of local democracy for any new unitary, and therefore I would urge the Council to unanimously support Councillor Ashton's motion and to turn over the amendment proposed by Councillor Tong. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Davey. Did anybody else want to speak? Councillor Porra, please, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I actually said last week when we were here for the LGR debate that I also believe very strongly that democracy needs to be available and visible to our residents. And therefore, for me, the Guildhall is the obvious candidate for that in the heart of our city. So I'm so bemused by the Green Amendment. It appears to suggest, as Councillor Davey alluded to, that we take no position at all on this, so the leader can go off and say, oh, we don't know. That's not really helpful to residents. And the Green Amendment doesn't actually mention the Guildhall in any of the outcomes, if you read the last paragraph in particular. So I'm not sure what Councillor Holloway is going to do with that if we were to pass this. I mean, obviously, when LGR happens, in whatever form, those of us lucky enough to be elected, whoever that is, will continue to work closely with whoever we are joined up with. And we will ensure that residents of the whole area represented get excellent services. And that might include South Cambs Hall in Cambourne or many other options across the wider area. But for me, arguing against the Guildhall and the Cambridge City Centre as the key civic building in our city, which is what this amendment would do if approved, is madness. This is the heart of the centre of our city, and pretty much all the transport links from actually Greater Cambridge and beyond come here. I find it unbelievable that the Green Party, whose philosophy is meant to be built on local democracy nearest to residents, according to their website, and they regularly make the point about decarbonising our reserves and moving forward to support everyone, not just those who can drive and those who are online, but they don't seem to want to support residents having access to a customer service centre right in the middle of the city with a very long history, as Councillor Davey also alluded to. This is what will happen if we don't make the case for the Guildhall to be part of the solution under the unitary. Once refurbished, the Guildhall will invite residents in with cafes, toilets, businesses, displays of local history and key customer services. And it will make the future council money by renting out the space over the longer term. And obviously a much reduced carbon footprint and a decarbonisation of our reserves if these are used to pay for it. What's not to like? The increased footfall will support market traders and local businesses. and it will preserve a beautiful and historic building for public use. The Greens seem happy in this amendment to explain everything they're against, but not provide anything that they're for, including any feasible costed alternative, apart from Councillor Clough mentioning last time that residents could just go over to Camborne for any services they wanted. With this amendment, the Greens want to close the Guildhall, to sell off the Guildhall, and stick their heads in the sand about what we're going to do in the future, rather than taking a position to enable constructive discussions as this moves forward. So I therefore oppose the amendment, but will be voting for the motion unamended. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Porra. Councillor Divkovic.
Thank you. With local reorganisation being kind of forced upon us, there are very few things that we can control. Whilst we know that we can't bind our successors, we know that we can at least make statements and our position across, and like Councillor Porra said, make our case, and this is our case, and we want to keep the Guildhall as the centre of what will be the new Cambridge Unitary. And actually, I'm pleased to see that the Green Party have put this amendment forward, because now we can see what their position is. And actually, they don't really care about keeping the Guildhall as our next Parliament. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Divkovic. I'll now move, Councillor Moore, and then we will move to the seconder of the amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd just like to say that I support the original motion. It's very important to keep the Guildhall, not just because it's the centre of the district that we currently represent, but actually in the future plans for a unitary, it's the centre and the most obvious location that's easily accessible for all residents across South Cambs and Cambridge. Not just that it's at the centre, but also it has improved public transport links, which other areas, for example, some of us witnessed on Tuesday night by going to Camborne, are much harder to access. And in terms of the the Green Amendment, the Green Amendment, I do not support that, and I think that the Greens seem to have misunderstood the purpose of the motion, and motions generally, it's not a promise or a guarantee, it is a statement of what us as councillors, as representatives of our residents, believe is the right thing for the future council of this city. And it gives our leader, when he is in negotiations, which of course he has been in for more than a year, and is it more than about a year, and will be going into the future, it gives him that position to say this is what the councillors representing the residents of Cambridge want. Thank you.
Councillor Titala, did you want to make a brief addition?
A very short question. It's a question. If Guildhall was not the local place of democracy, where was it taking place for the last 800 years?
Thank you. Now, Councillor Clough, would you like to second the amendment, please?
Thank you. The Green Party amendment to this motion seeks to remind members of some inescapable home truths about the Guildhall and the Council. This Council will seek to exist in 2028, and as we've heard, it cannot properly seek to bind its successors. In terms of ceremony, I represent a ward in which most residents may now feel little, if any, emotional commitment to the Guildhall and its council chamber, because that is the venue where their hopes of a fair hearing and a robust defence of their interests have crumbled over the last few years, to name but the Queen's Alston Croft planning disaster, and where the licensing subcommittees have failed to protect their rights to quiet enjoyment of their summer afternoons in their gardens. They have group by group started to realise how deep the canyon of democratic deficit is, and the Guildhall is the place where that bad news has been delivered. The future of the Guildhall is not in our gift, and some humility in reflecting on its true relevance to our citizens and their futures and indeed our reduced role in local government would not go amiss today. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Clough. Now, Councillor Thornberry, if you would like to second the motion as it was originally presented. Thank you.
Councillor Ashton has spoken about the future of the Guildhall and the need to retain its important position in civic life. In seconding the motion, I want to take a few moments to appreciate the building and its setting. While visitors may focus on the glories of the university and college buildings that surround us, the Guildhall is for many of us Cambridge's real cathedral, a civic one. It was the vision of architect Charles Cowles Voysey, and when it was completed in 1939, replacing older Victorian and Georgian buildings, it was designed to project stability and civic pride. The architecture is often described as neo-Georgian, but it is more than just a style. The deliberate choice of grey bricks and Portland stone was meant to harmonise with the city, yet stand apart as a distinct seat of local democracy and power, as it was built to house not just the council, but the police courts, the library, and a true hub of civic life. If you follow the excellent work of our local historian, Anthony Carpen, and if you don't follow his Lost Cambridge blog, you really should. Frankly, it's the only reason I know half of what happened here before 1990. You'll know that this spot on Market Square has seen more identity crisis than a teenager in a coming-of-age movie. Before we got the imposing structure, the site had been the home of a shire hall on arches, a toll booth, a Franciscan monastery, and even a private house that King Henry III granted to the town for use as a prison in 1224. If you ever feel like the chamber is a place for penance, you are historically accurate. The old toll booth was rebuilt in 1782 and connected to the Shire Bridge House by a wooden bridge over Butter Row, a narrow market street with stalls selling dairy products. Together, the two buildings acted as the Guildhall from the late 1840s until the current building replaced them. Anthony often reminds us of the town history distinct from the university gown. The building is the heart of that story, and it could have looked very different. Anthony loves to dig up the plans of what didn't happen, the unbuilt Cambridge. There were Victorian schemes to turn the site into something resembling a Florentine palace. Instead, the good ratepayers of Cambridge in the 1930s, bless them, essentially said, "That looks expensive. Can we have the economic version?" Oh dear, I better get on. Anyway, this motion calls for us to ensure that this Guildhall, one where so many of us have spent long days and even longer evenings on council business, but also home to fairs and festivals, concerts, celebrations, and of course the annual mayor's quiz, remains the principal venue for local democracy and civic services under the unitary council authority. In calling for this, I'd like to think that we're channeling the spirit of the woman who did so much to get it built in the first place, Florence Ada Keynes. In 1814, she became the... Can I just finish? Thank you. In 1814, she became Cambridge's first councillor and was mayor in 1932 at the age of 70. She chaired the committee responsible for the building of the new Guildhall and actually laid the foundation stone for it in 1938. Throughout her life, she pushed for better housing and public health provision and for the local authorities' power at a time when Cambridge University dominated. In deciding how to vote, let us remember that we are the custodians of the legacy left by Keynes and her fellow councillors. They set a very high standard for public service on this corner of the Market Square. I believe we have a duty to ensure it continues to play its proper role as we move to the next stage of local government in this area.
Thank you very much, Councillor Thornberry. Councillor Ashton, as the mover of the original motion, you now have the right of reply for up to 3 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Well, I'm surprised that Councillor Tong is the one who's brought the amendment. I sat in admiration when he was elected to the Chamber, bringing his youth, his vitality, and I think we should play back what he told us all at that meeting, that the Guildhall is a fantastic building the home of local democracy. It should be opened up more to the public. They should be able to see all our civic awards we've won. They should see the regalia. And he was so enthusiastic that the Guildhall should be brought up to date, it should be open to the public, and we should do so much more in the Guildhall. And yet, seemingly, he's lost his roots as he's now grown up that political ladder. As he's moved to the county council, as he's moved up in the Green Party, he's forgot where he started in local democracy, in the Guildhall. So I think, again, I was hoping this would be a cross-party, easy motion to put through. And I'm disappointed that the Greens have decided to try and change it. And again, I'll just read out to remind Councillor Tong how far away he's gone from his original welcome in this council chamber. He's crossed out, the Guildhall shall continue to hold its rightful status as the principal venue for local democracy and civic ceremonies, reflecting its heritage and ongoing role in public life. And he's crossed that out. And here's the councillor who, when he came to the chamber, gushed all those values, and now he can just rubbish them. Like I say, this motion is to give our chief executive, our leader of the council, more negotiations when they come to this part of it. Because if we sit back and let the Secretary of State roller coasters, we have no say. Hopefully, this sends a message back to the powers that be that we are not going to be just rolled over, that we believe we have an important part to play in this unitary council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ashton. Now, we first of all are going to move to vote on the amendment from Councillor Tong. And as for last week, we will be doing this by a show of hands, please. So, can I have a vote of all those in favour of Councillor Tong's amendment? Right, yeah. And thank you. Those against? Thank you. And thank you. And any abstentions? No abstentions. So the result is 4 in favour of the amendment, 34 against, no abstentions. So the amendment falls. We're now going to vote on the motion as originally presented. Could I please have everyone in favour? That's all bar 3. Thank you. Those against? And those who abstain, please, abstentions. 3 abstentions. Right. So that's 34 in favour, none against, and 3 abstentions. So the motion is passed. Thank you very much. So now we move on to motion 9B, which was brought by Councillor Hussain. Councillor Hussain, do you have a seconder?
May I ask the House?
Pardon?
May I ask from the floor?
Does anybody wish to second this motion? No. In that case, Councillor Hussain, we may not discuss it. And we move on then, please, to motion 9C. Is that right? Yeah, thank you. So this is a motion from Councillor Bick. Councillor Bick, can you indicate whether you wish to move this motion?
Yes, please.
Thank you. And Councillor Payne, I understand you are seconding. Yes? Thank you very much. So, Councillor Bick, if you would like to address Council, and you have 5 minutes. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, it's sometimes said that there are young people living in parts of the city who've never been to the centre of Cambridge. Literally true or not, the resilience of the idea suggests that our city centre underperforms as the centre of our own city. If we care about creating a truly inclusive city, that really isn't good enough. We should use our influence to try and shift the needle. As a councillor representing the city centre, I've reason to think a lot about this subject, but there would be something wrong if this was the concern of only one ward in the city. We have one city centre between us, and we need to regard it as an asset of all of our residents. We need thriving neighbourhood centres around the whole city, but there are some attractions which take wider access, larger flows of people and bigger critical mass to be viable, and they need to bring footfall to each other, which they can do by being served by various modes of transport. In terms of economic vitality, our city centre has ridden the shift to online shopping, much better than most high streets up and down the country. It's better not to have those masses of empty shop fronts that the loss of jobs that many places have experienced. But with fewer shops now selling physical things, it has changed still an awful lot, and this period of flux is a good time to ask the question: how inclusive is the centre? How relevant is it, especially in terms of our residents and those nearby? Could it be better? We aren't going to be able to turn the clock back on online shopping, but there remain purchases which still need physical shops, independent businesses which are often less detectable online, anything needing to be seen or tried on, anything benefiting from informed advice or being hard to send back, or anything found by serendipity. Those of these shops we already have will prosper less if there aren't enough of them bringing customers to each other, marking out the city as a destination that's just not the same as everywhere else. I wonder, could we do even with a specific area for independent shops? In towns and cities across the country, there are various strands to the diversity needed in the high street if it's to become more inclusive, not all of which may be our choice or our priority as a city. Retail, of course, other types of workplace, homes, arts and culture, hospitality, family experiences, tourism, recreation, public services. Each of these is present to a greater or lesser extent here already, but could the mix be better? Is one too dominant? Another's not present enough? Many residents would say yes. The Council has powers to influence some of these issues. It is good the Council wants to ensure a renewed public and civic presence at the heart of the city. It's good it wants to modernise the Corn Exchange to affirm performance in the city centre, and it's good that it wants to make the Market Square an even more attractive host to Cambridge's market, which is so vital for diversity. It's also good that the Council aims to use our planning powers to encourage a thriving city centre, and the positive statement in the new draft local plan is really welcome. But relevant planning powers are few and don't touch all the facets of the centre that could make the difference to inclusiveness of local people. Matters like what sort of shop were never controllable by planning policy, yet are critical to the sort of city centre we have. Even controls over switches between some planning use classes are no longer possible. That is where this motion comes in. We have an opportunity to use our convening role as the democratically elected voice of Cambridge people to use the soft power of influence. The Council as lead placemaker developing a consensus on what we want our shared city centre to be. Without attempting this, we only have what is dealt out by the free market, in which many atomised decisions can fundamentally change a city centre without anyone actually wanting or liking the overall result. Our residents have not been asked the question, and I know many of them are simply bursting to give their answers. This could not result in a tight, enforceable blueprint, but it could raise the sights of commercial landlords to focus on the whole jigsaw as well as their pieces of it. As some of those landlords are colleges, this initiative could align very well with the university's renewed focus on the wider city. If the council doesn't initiate a vision for our city centre, who will or could? For reasons of democratic legitimacy, I think it must be us. I would urge the council to support this placemaking motion, aiming to curate a thriving city centre which works better for everyone.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bick. Councillor Payne, I understand you wish to second the motion. Do you wish to speak now or reserve your right?
I'll reserve my right, please.
Thank you. So, Councillor Clough, you've given notice of amendment, which is on page 15 of the information pack. Can you just indicate, please, that you wish to move the amendment?
I do, thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Tong, I understand you are seconding this amendment.
I'm actually going to be handing over that responsibility to my colleague, Councillor Howard, if that's okay, because I have realised that a reference to the Market Square, which my girlfriend has played a small role on, means that I'd prefer to just stand back from this debate entirely, if that's okay.
That's absolutely fine. So, Councillor Howard, you will be seconding the motion, yes?
I can confirm that, yes.
Yeah. And can I ask, please, do you wish to speak to the debate or reserve your right?
I reserve my right.
All right. So, Councillor Clough, if you would like to speak to your amendment of this motion.
I welcome some aspects of Councillor Bick's motion. He's highlighting a real tangible problem with our city centre, where our residents feel pushed out and not valued here. We've proposed 2 points of amendment under his notes section. At the fourth point, there is unqualified support for the Civic Quarter project at a cost of 92 million, escalating to probably 120 million with finance cost. I remain deeply sceptical about this project as it rumbles forward, heavily blinkered, and to an uncertain conclusion. So we propose deletion of that point. At the second bullet, there is the suggestion there is no economic decline in our city centre. I cannot agree with that general assertion. The facts are that small independent traders who are so vital to providing the variety and interest in any city or town centre are facing significant economic pressures. For example, any COVID bounce-back loans which have now expired will have to now be financed at commercial rates, if indeed they can be financed. COVID business rate subsidies have now expired. The drop in the employer's national insurance threshold of 4,100 at 15% has given a hit of £615 per employee. So we must find out how our independent traders are really doing. If the Director of Economy in place can include a real analysis of the health of these businesses, then that could be really worthwhile. It would also be good to understand if there are areas that the independent retailers are not able to address themselves, such as business rates, valuation check and challenges. If we want to have a healthy independent sector on a high street, we have really to understand their problems. So we put forward this amendment in the spirit of supportive recommendation and not criticism. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Clough. Now, we have a second amendment to this motion. Councillor Nesta has given notice of an amendment, and that is on page 17 of your information pack. Councillor Nesta, can you confirm that you wish to move this amendment?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Holloway, I understand you are seconding this amendment. Can you confirm this, please?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. So, Councillor Nesta, if you would like to move your amendment now, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can you hear me okay? Yes? All right. Thank you. Now, I just wanted to emphasize that our amendments are not about finding fault. They're about strengthening a constructive proposal so that together, across political lines, we can deliver the best outcomes for Cambridge. Where there is common purpose, we should build on it. Our city centre is going through real change. Online retail, neighbourhood shopping, and shifting patterns of use all play a part. But Cambridge is unique. The demands of 2 universities, a global visitor economy, and a growing local population all converge in a very small space. Despite this, Cambridge has one of the most resilient high streets in the country. Centre for Cities data shows that we have the highest high-rate street occupancy rate outside London. That's 11 out of every 12 units fill. That is thanks to our independent businesses, hospitality sector, and cultural offer, all of which sustain local jobs and vibrancy. But residents consistently tell us they want a city centre that is more than economically strong. They want one that is a social crossroad, somewhere clean, safe, inclusive, and accessible. We should also recognize the work already underway. Our plans for the Guildhall, the Corn Exchange, and the Market Square show leadership and ambition. We're strengthening our partnership work, including early joint work with the County Council and increased capacity through the Inclusive Economy team. This amended motion builds on that momentum. It calls for a shared vision developed with the BID, landlords, universities, cultural organizations, NGOs, transport providers, and the public. It highlights the importance of essential high street infrastructure, such as ATMs and the post office, while exploring improvements such as water fountains, Wi-Fi, and better waste management. It also proposes exploring a tourist levy, recognizing that while visitors contribute much to Cambridge, they also rely on the services we fund. A fair contribution could help sustain the public realm we all use. The motions prepare us for the future governance too. A new unitary authority could bring a more integrated approach to managing the city centre, and early thinking will help ensure we are ready. And it emphasises that a thriving city centre must complement thriving neighbourhood centres across Cambridge. Crucially, the amendments introduce realism, the need for clear baselines, proper monitoring, phased delivery, and work within current budgets, while pursuing external funding where possible. So, colleagues, this motion calls for a practical plan by summer 2026 covering governance, monitoring, resources, and sequencing. This is a collaborative, constructive, and achievable motion, one that strengthens the heart of our city for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Nesta. Councillor Holloway, do you wish to speak now or reserve your right?
I'll reserve my right.
Thank you. So we have two amendments then to the original motion. Do we have any debate, please, councillors? Councillor Lochmatova, thank you. You have three minutes here.
Sorry, it's not really a debate. I just would like to declare an interest in relation to this motion. So as for the previous motion, I'm part of the design team working the Guildhall because this topic has been brought by Councillor Clough again. I would like to declare an interest, but I don't feel like my decision will be fettered by this interest. I would like to be involved in the debate and vote on the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, that's absolutely fine. Do we have any other? Councillor Dale?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I guess I'll be happy to address the two amendments before us. I think the Green Amendment, again, reveals quite a lot about their approach at the moment. They've made two changes to the motion, both deletions, both from the noting section. So first, they want to delete the observation that our city centre is not suffering from the economic decline seen elsewhere. But that's not boasting, and as Councillor Nesta has explained, it's factually true. Cambridge has the highest street occupancy rate of the UK outside of London. But the Green Party seems determined to paint the bleakest possible picture, ignoring that understanding around our relative strengths is essential for making the smart decisions we need to focus our efforts. Second, they also want to delete any reference to the civic quarter investment. But again, they're not actually promising to do anything different. They just want the motion to apparently sound more miserable. So it's all vibes and no policy. And this does follow the pattern that we've seen with the Guildhall motion discussed earlier, where Councillor Clough apparently believes democracy in our city has been undermined because, and this was the history, the independent planning inspector used their statutory powers regarding Alstoncroft and overruled the planning committee, which had stood up for local residents. That was not a failure of local democracy. That's literally how the planning appeal system works. But the Green Party don't understand basic planning law and apparently will also rewrite history for their own purposes. In fact, their opposition to almost all new developments risks undermining our ability to retain those planning powers in our city. So this is mainly just deleting positive statements whilst keeping negative ones and without proposing to do anything differently. I'll be voting against the amendment. On Labour's amendment, I have to say much of what's been added is already implicit, I think, in the motion, calling for realistic funding, acknowledging budget constraints and recognising the need for partnership working. None of it's new, but it's essentially restating what's hopefully already there, just in greater length. But if Labour feel the need to spell that out and feel I will be comfortable with supporting the amended motion. I think the core of the main motion remains sound, with a proper scoping exercise reporting back in the summer. As someone who's actually, calling for councillors to take action, not inaction, I welcome the motion, even in the expanded form. And I will look forward to seeing when the report comes back, where I'll be looking for evidence of genuine partnership engagement and realistic delivery plans. So I think that this motion provides a very good foundation for that work. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dale. Do we have any other debate? No. Oh, yes, Councillor Young.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There are huge winds of change in our shopping and personal habits. We have people sitting in their rooms glued to their phones, and there is an epidemic of loneliness. It's massively convenient to buy online, and our shops are under threat. Cambridge is, it is correct, much ahead of everywhere else, and we have managed to sustain a thriving town centre, and if you go elsewhere, that's really not the case. So I think we're in a very good position, but I think my expectation out of this review would be to look for other ways that we can be using our town centre to find ways of allowing people to meet each other and make connections, and look for alternatives to retail that will continue to be under threat. So I think this is a really great opportunity to really think again while we're ahead, while we are still in a very good position, and just plan for big changes in the future. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Councillor Young. I do beg your pardon. So now I'll move to Councillor Gawthorpe Wood and then Councillor Thornborough. Thank you.
Thank you. I actually welcome this motion, and I am pleased that we have strengthened what the Lib Dems put forward. I think we actually have a range of ages here, and we have one youngster over there, Alphonse. I hope Baiju doesn't mind him being mentioned. But we are in a growing city, strongly growing population and forecast population around the city. As I said, relatively young population, and the needs of the young and the old need to be thought about and met in how we can manage and promote our city centre, regional centre. It's very important, and it's seeing Alphonse here, one of our youngsters, that makes me think we've got to think about the future, and we really do have to think about our city centre and strengthen the offering, support the offering, and enhance our civic centre and the civic quarter. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Thornborough, please.
Yes, I'm pleased that the Lib Dems brought this motion, and I'm very pleased that Councillor Nestinger has elaborated in more detail and set out a date for coming back. I just want to say that on behalf of the shared planning service that I represent, we did start an SPD called Making Space for People, and it highlighted the real need for this. I'm actually here today because we have a council meeting. If I hadn't been here, if it wasn't for this council meeting, I would be in London at the Royal Town Planning Institute Award Service, where it's been announced that our planning service has won Local Authority Planning Team of the Year. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thornborough, and that is very exciting news. Thank you for that. I think that's Councillor Ashton, I'll take yours and then I think we'll move to the vote, please. Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll declare an interest. I'm a shopper in Cambridge. I have been for over 50 years. And I was fortunate to come to Cambridge when the Kite was about to be demolished, and I enjoyed the wonderful aspects of the Kite. And with people saying it's going to be a fantastic new shopping centre, the Grafton. And now we see the Grafton being demolished to become labs. And we see a wonderful ping pong space getting rid of as well. So we do need to take practical measures that ensure we have a centre that is fit for all. So I welcome the amendment that we brought forward. I'd like to say to the Lib Dems, it's not the normal ones where it was delete all and replace. So hopefully you can see we're not wrecking, we are trying to strengthen this motion. And let's hope that Cambridge, again, will be a beautiful place where everybody can find something that they can be involved with. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ashton. Now I'm going to move to Councillor Howard. If you would like to second the first amendment, the amendment brought by Councillor Tong. Thank you.
Thank you. I suppose the key point I would start with is that people have recognised that there are only deletions, in which case it insinuates that broadly the motion is supported. But I will talk about the part that is deleted, as per the previous debate, and that I think everyone bar four of us in the room is missing the point about the Guildhall. The previous motion and this motion is this deletion or proposed deletion in the amendment is not saying that the Guildhall should not be the centre of democracy, or in this case have any investment at all. But the point is that it shouldn't be the focus of our vision for the city. It's a centralising, power concentrating, greedy act for us as politicians to say the priority is to make the, quote, centre of power a focus of the city. So the reason that the Green Party is against this primarily is because voters, residents, I'll remind you of the polls, do not agree with you. They do not agree with the 36 other voices in this room. And you will see that. And you can see it in the 175,000 and counting members of the Green Party, the fastest growing party in the continent. So, in broad terms, we support this motion, apart from the mention of the Guildhall and some specific parts about recognising performance of the centre, because primarily in that case, those indices that have been quoted in another amendment are related, I think, primarily to tourism, to the activity of the centre of the town, and they do not directly correlate with the broader inequality that's seen in the city. And that is the point of this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Howard. Now, Councillor Holloway, if you would now speak for the second amendment as brought by Councillor Nesta, and you have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. So I'll first deal with the Green amendment, which first of all crosses out the desire for full utilisation of the Guildhall. It second does not want the modernisation of the Corn Exchange, so it presumably wants to retain a leaking roof of the Corn Exchange. It doesn't want to bring it up to date for the 21st century for its 150th anniversary, which is something that all residents can enjoy and people from a much wider area. So it's not just for the city centre by any means. And the refurbishment of the Market Square is also crossed out. So they want to retain the potholes in the Market Square. They want to keep it as a multi-level square rather than having it all at one level to make it more accessible. They don't want the new toilets and bins and other facilities that we're proposing. They also don't want the council to use its assets to express confidence in a centre that is for all. That is what this part of the motion says, and that is also not supported by the Green Party. So I will not be supporting the Green amendment for those reasons. I welcome the original motion from the Liberal Democrats, and I agree with Councillor Bick that we do need a more inclusive city centre, and we want to retain a thriving city centre. We are fortunate with the number of people that we get into our city centre and the way it is succeeding at the moment, but we cannot be complacent about that, and that needs a lot of hard work from all of us, which is why I think it's a good idea to continue to, as we are, bring together different stakeholders to make sure that our city centre is a great place for everyone, and to plan it more carefully, because, as you say, this is something that doesn't happen by chance if we leave it to different operators coming into particular shops or other sort of market forces, as Councillor Bick mentioned, then that's not going to end up with something that is the best possible city centre for our residents and for people from far beyond. So I welcome the original motion, but the reason that we've amended it is that we want to highlight the work that's already going on and the way we are already starting to use our convening role to bring in partners, but we will look to do far more of that. Particularly, it could and should become easier as we move to being a unitary council, we hope. We did also want to mention the new opportunity we have through a tourist levy to bring in some money to fund some of this work, and I very much hope that any tourist levy that was put in that related to tourists coming into Cambridge would be spent in Cambridge to benefit tourism, but also to make sure that we who are living locally are able to get the facilities and the maintenance work that's needed. I will just note on the thriving city centre that in the budget yesterday it was also announced that there are some reductions to business rates for retail, leisure and hospitality, and particularly for small operators, so we welcome that move by the Labour government.
Thank you very much, Councillor Holloway. Now, Councillor Payne, would you like to second the original motion? Thank you. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think for me this motion, sort of this discussion really boils down to a question of our attitude towards how we value our city centre and what we think our approach towards its future is likely to be as we move through the many changes we'll face over the coming years. Cambridge City Centre is of course beautiful, it's historic. I think we would all here agree that it's a place we should treasure. And actually compared to many city centres, it has stood the challenges of the pandemic and the new ways of shopping and new ways of living very well. However, I'm sure we'll all have spoken to residents who feel and who say to us that the city centre no longer works for them, but is instead focused around tourism and is focused around different interests. If you have one conversation with the market traders, they'll make that very, very clear to you. I think our role as councillors and as a council is as custodians of the city centre for residents and for visitors equally. And as councillors here, I think we should seek to bring together all of these interests in a way that both honours and respects the past, while looking to provide the resources and amenities that fits with a modern way of living. The reason I support Councillor Bick's motion is I think he's seeking to do that in a way that is collaborative, that is equal, and that involves all stakeholders in that discussion. Our civic buildings are quite fascinating. It's been mentioned tonight already that the Guildhall was a seat of government since King Henry III granted the property to the burghers of Cambridge in 1224. Before that, for my RE teacher geek moment, it began life as a Jewish synagogue, and you can still see the foundation stone of the synagogue in the Guildhall, which is lovely. And so to lose that heritage, to throw away the Guildhall, as the Greens bafflingly seem to wish to do, and throw away 800 years of history and take local democracy further from the people, which is the opposite of what we should want to do, is simply baffling. It's clearly a building to be treasured. The Corn Exchange was built on the site of what was a medieval priory. Then in 1875 it became the market hall for farmers to literally trade corn, hence the name. And it's a peculiar building, but clearly improving and modernising it is something that we should want to embrace, to provide a venue for people to come together, to see great artists, great musicians, and feel that broader sense of connection to Cambridge, even if they're from further away. But despite these wonderful civic buildings, I think for residents, day to day, actually what matters is what your experience of the city centre is like when you do pop in to do your shopping. Suddenly, people find there are fewer local shops, All the public toilets are being closed. There's a lot of litter. You can't refill your water bottle, so you have to buy more plastic stuff. Those bike racks next to the Guildhall are just really annoying with the things that stick out. It's these day-to-day things of what your daily experience is like that actually I think as a resident really matters and makes you decide actually I will cycle into town rather than doing my shopping online. So I think what we need to focus on here is how we shape that experience to tap into those little things. And it's so important there that we hear the voices of all of those who use our city centre to see what those small things are that they'd appreciate. Placemaking is about how people experience a place day to day. So I urge you to support this motion to ensure that Cambridge remains a vibrant, beating heart of our city centre, and even more importantly, that our residents feel it's a place made for them.
Thank you, Councillor Payne. And now, finally, Councillor Bick, you have the right, as mover of the original motion, you have the right of reply for up to 3 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I confess I've learned something myself out of this debate. I didn't know about the foundation stone of the Jewish synagogue in the Guildhall, so something to go and look at. Yes, I think Cambridge is privileged relative to a lot of the rest of the country, and we do need to remember that when we consider our city centre. I mean, we have a growing population, growing local economy, and we have tourism, and we have, 30,000 students. And this has clearly helped us have a situation where we have far fewer shop vacancies than many other places. But it's also the reason, in the view of many people, why the actual mix of activities is somewhat skewed. And our residents tell us, as I'm sure they tell all members of the council, that sometimes in some aspects they feel the city centre is not sufficiently their centre where they would choose to go. And I think that is something I hear around the chamber that we would all like to put right. When it comes to the amendments, on the Green Amendment, I am genuinely perplexed by what point is being made until I realised that there really is only one show in town for the Greens, and that's developing their arguments against investment in the city centre in the Civic Quarter projects. I think in most places around the country there would be excitement, pleasure, pride that it was possible to do that. But here there's a preference from the Greens for a sort of tabloid populism about the whole thing. We all know we have to contain the costs of this and make this doable. And that's a process that is going on right now. As far as the Labour amendment is concerned, I do acknowledge and accept and appreciate the constructive spirit that the amendment is put in, and I can see that we agree really with what we're trying to do here. In many ways, this is saying the same thing in different words. I won't be supporting the amendment, but I have no trouble supporting the motion as it would be amended by that. So I hope that is a way of us going forward with some high level of unity about what happens next. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bick. Okay, so now we're going to move to the votes. Slightly complicated, but hopefully I'll make it clear for you. So first of all, we are going to vote on the amendment brought by the Green Party from Councillor Clough. So could I have, please, everyone in favour of that first amendment? 3. Those against? Is it 33? And any abstentions, please? None. So the vote is 3 in favour, 34 against, no abstentions. So that First Amendment falls. We now move on to the vote on the Second Amendment brought by the Labour Party Councillor Nesta. Could I have, please, all those in favour? Thank you. Those against? Did you count Councillor Bajan? You put his hand up quite late. Yeah. None. And any abstentions? 1, 2, 3. 14, make that, yeah. Yep. So for that amendment, we have 23 in favour, none against, 14 abstentions. So the amendment is carried. And now we are going to vote on the amended motion. All those in favour, please. Okay. Those against? And abstentions, please. Great. So for the amended motion, it's 34 in favour, none against, 3 abstentions. So the amended motion is passed. Thank you all. Well done. And I would just quickly like to add, as I mentioned in my announcement, there's the new Every space that the County Council have put into the Central Library, and it is absolutely, oh please don't go because we do have item 10. And it is absolutely addressing what Councillor Bick has proposed in that motion, in that there's something for all ages in there. It's very exciting, so do go and visit if you get a chance. Now we do have one written question for which I believe Councillor Smith is going to give us, is going to address. Is that right, Councillor Simon Smith? I know, but no, you don't wish to speak? No? In my notes, Councillor Smith, it says that you would like to speak to this written question, but if you don't need to.
I don't want to hold up all these people.
Oh, that's very, very considerate of you, in which case we take that. Please just note the written question. Thank you very much, everybody. It's been a very good evening. Can I just quickly please say can we all say thank you to the officers at the table over there as well who've been very supportive. Thank you very much. And also thank you to our IT. Thank you. The mics work beautifully this evening. Thank you very much. Good night and have a safe journey home. Thank you.